All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. If you want to go to the next slide, Jenna, my name is Christy Moscato, and I am the Community Relations Manager with Person-Centered Services. And like I'm sure many of you that are joining us tonight, I am also the parent of a child with developmental disabilities, and I'm hoping to learn a lot, and know I will, from Jenna tonight. But I want to introduce Jenna McCloskey is the outreach coordinator from New York Able, and she will be presenting. But first, we have a couple little housekeeping things that we do with all of our meetings, both internally and externally. At Person-Centered Services, we go through our mission, vision, and core values. But at Person-Centered Services, I do want to say briefly that we provide health home care coordination for over 17,800 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout 18 counties in Western New York, Finger Lakes, and the Southern Tier regions. Our mission, we connect people to the care, support, and opportunities that maximize their quality of life. Where a vision is a community where all people lead fulfilling lives, and our core values of people, integrity, and trust. So during the course of this webinar, I will ask that any questions, if you can put them in the chat, that will be great. And Jenna will be addressing them at the end of her presentation. I'll be moving them onto a spreadsheet so we make sure to get to everybody's question. So with that, Jenna, you're on.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christy. And thank you everybody for coming out, as Christy said, on this hot June night. Hoping everybody is able to stay cool and can learn a little bit about the program tonight. I will, as Christy said, we will get to questions at the end, and I will have my contact information on the screen so everybody can contact me afterward if you have any further questions or you have any trouble signing up or anything like that. You can always feel free to reach out to me in the future if we don't get to, whatever questions you have tonight. So some background on New York Able. The New York Able Act became federal law in 2014. What that did was it authorized all of the states to be able to open their own ABLE programs with the goal of allowing individuals with disabilities and their families to save money really for the first time in their own names without risking their benefits. The New York ABLE Act allowed these ABLE programs and ABLE accounts to be able to be opened. And the stipulation is that organizations like SSI, Medicaid, SSDI, HUD, SNAP, none of those programs can count the money in your ABLE account as an asset against you. So traditionally, SSI specifically, they tend to have the most strict of the parameters of how much you are allowed to make and how much you are allowed to have in your own name at any given time. But they only allow $2,000 in your own name at any given time, or your benefits can be suspended. So SSI recipients especially are constantly spending their money down, sometimes on things they don't want, things they don't need, just because their priority needs to be maintaining their benefits. So that's where an ABLE account can come in handy, is now you can save those excess funds so that you can access them later. You can have full access to your own money for the things that you actually need and want, but without risking your benefits. So that's a really great change. So this is the high level overview of the program. If you are able to see the screen, this might be a screen you might want to take a picture of. This is the one slide overview of what an ABLE account is. So New York's Achieving a Better Life Experience program, that's what New York ABLE stands for, allows individuals with disabilities and their families to save for their disability related expenses, earn income on investments free from taxes as long as they're used for qualified expenses, and we will get into the details of all of that, while maintaining their ability to benefit from SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, and other federal programs that they rely on. So who's eligible for a New York ABLE account? At this time, you do not have to be a New York State resident anymore. So if anyone is familiar with our program, has been to any of my presentations previously, you used to have to be a New York State resident to have a New York ABLE account. That is no longer the case. So if you open a New York Able account and you happen to move in the future, you can take your Able account along with you. So as long as you are a U.S. citizen or a resident alien that had a disability that was present before the age of 26, you would qualify for a New York Able account. The 4 bullets after that first one are how you, when you're signing up for your Able account, basically how you just certify or confirm that you or your loved one does in fact have a disability. So you do not need to meet all 4 of these qualifications. You will just need to check one of these boxes when you sign up. So if you're entitled to SSI or SSDI due to your disability, you would qualify. If you're classified as blind, you would qualify. If you have a disability that's included in Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowance conditions, you would qualify. Otherwise, you would basically just need a doctor's note, a diagnosis from a doctor that documents that you do have a medically determinable disability. So one thing I'm going to say a few times tonight is that New York Able is considered a self-certified or self-monitored program. So we're not going to ask you for any of these proofs. You get to check all these boxes yourself. You'll check boxes while you're going throughout the enrollment process, saying that you certify under penalty of law that you are telling the truth, just like we check on, any form we fill out these days. But as long as you can check these things and be honest about them, then that's all that we need to open your account. The only time those proofs would come into play is if you were audited by the IRS. Then you would need to prove that you did in fact qualify for your Able account and that your purchases were qualified purchases, just so that you don't have any tax penalties for non-qualified withdrawals or for, having an Able account without qualifying for it. So we always recommend that you just keep a folder that has either your diagnosis or your SSI letter or whatever you have to certify your qualification, and then you save your receipts in that same folder. So just in case there's ever an audit, it's nice and easy to prove that you did qualify. So another thing I just want to point out while we're on this page is, again, to qualify, it says you need to be a U.S. citizen or a resident alien with a disability that was present before age 26. That's it. Those, like I said, those other bullets are just to confirm that you do in fact have a disability. But as long as you have a disability that was present prior to 26, you qualify. So that means it doesn't matter what category of disability it is. It can be intellectual or developmental, but it could also be physical or mental health or respiratory. There's, blindness. Obviously, like I said, that's one of the check boxes here. But any category of disability can qualify, not just intellectual or developmental. So if you know other people that have other types of disabilities in place, trying to think of some other ones. I know people that have signed up using ADHD as their disability, things like that. So it is a very flexible program, very flexible account that can work for really any category of person with a disability. And it also, sorry, there's a lot of thunder in the background. Whoa, that was really loud. I don't know if anybody else could hear that. Sorry. So it also doesn't say anything about your work qualifications. So if you are a person with a disability that does not work or is not able to work, that's totally fine. If you are able to work full time, so you don't even qualify for any of these federal programs, you can still benefit from an Able account. You can use your Able account instead of a health savings or a flex spending account. You can use it as an addition to your retirement account. It can just be another investment account that you have sitting there, so you can grow your money and your financial portfolio. So again, it really can work in a lot of different situations and be very flexible for you. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. So some specifics about the program. Eligible individuals can only have one Able account nationwide. So that means if you already have an account in a different state, and you want to open a New York Able account, you would have to let us know during the enrollment process, and we would pull all of the money over. We would close out your old account and roll it all over into your New York Able account. And anyone can contribute, which is a really nice option. So friends, family, employers, anybody can contribute to your account, even though since you're only allowed to have that one account, they can still contribute. So that comes in really handy again for people receiving SSI. A lot of the time, say grandparents don't want to give them a monetary gift for their birthday or for the holidays or anything because they're so afraid that that gift is going to negatively impact their benefits. Well, now they can put that money in the ABLE account so their grandchild can utilize those funds for something that they want or save it up for something they want to do in the future, without risking their benefits at all. So everybody contributing is really great. And unlike programs that you may be more familiar with, like a special needs trust or a college savings account, the account owner is the beneficiary. So that means, unlike those other types of accounts where you have to have a third party involved, or multiple third parties involved sometimes, with your New York Able account, if you are capable of managing your own finances, with New York Able, you get to have full control over your own account. You get to decide how the money is invested. You get to decide how it's spent. All of that is completely up to you. So who can actually be the one to open the New York Able account? So everything on this screen right now is in a hierarchy fashion. It's all in order of priority. So first and foremost, as I just said, the eligible individual is number one. If they can manage their own finances, then with New York Able, they get to. So they can open it themselves, or they can select whoever they want to manage their account on their behalf. They can say, I'm perfectly capable, but I want my mom to manage my account. Or I'm married and my spouse manages all of the household finances. So even though I can manage my account, I want my spouse to. They can assign that, no problem. If the eligible individual lacks the legal capacity to open the account, one can still be opened on their behalf by any of the following, again, in order of priority. So power of attorney, a conservator or legal guardian, spouse, parent, sibling, or grandparent of the eligible individual, or a representative payee. So any of those people can open the account on a disabled individual's behalf. But again, they can only have one account in that disabled individual's name. So if there are more than one person involved, you want to try to get everybody on the same page, make sure that they are all in agreement as to who's going to be opening the account. And if they're not, then the hierarchy would come into play. So if the parent wants to and the representative payee wants to, the parent would win out and the parent would get to open and manage the account. So what is a qualified disability expense? The definition of a qualified disability expense is any expense that is incurred as a result of living with a disability and is intended to improve the health, independence, or quality of life of the disabled individual. So these expenses include, but are not limited to, education, health and wellness, housing, transportation, legal fees, financial management, employment training and support, assistive technology, personal support services, oversight and monitoring, and funeral and burial expenses. So you can see it's a very large definition of what you can spend your New York Able funds on, to the point that it is difficult for us to come up with purchases that absolutely would not qualify. But again, as a self-monitored, self-certified account, you would make those decisions for yourself. You would decide how the money is spent, familiarize yourself with this definition and these examples so that when you're going to spend the money in your account, you can decide if you think what you're purchasing falls under that definition or falls under any of those categories. And again, just hang on to your receipts. You can even write the justification right on the receipt, write health and wellness, or write transportation or whatever it is on the receipt. Stick it in your folder just in case there's ever an audit. Then it's nice and easy for you to justify all of your purchases. So some more of the nitty gritty once we open an ABLE account. You can contribute up to $18,000 per year. If the disabled individual works, they may be eligible to contribute an additional amount above that $18,000. And there's more information about who qualifies for that on our website if you think that that might apply to you or your loved one. All of the contributions combined have to stay under 520,000 in New York Able. New York Able has one of the highest account balance maximums in the country. Like I said, at 520,000. And we monitor all of these contributions. So if you're ever getting close or you go over them, we will reach out, see if you qualify to contribute more. If you don't, we will issue a refund for whatever the overage was. Only thing that's different from that last slide is for people who are receiving SSI. This is not for SSDI recipients or Medicaid or anybody else that does not qualify for benefit programs. But SSI specifically says they will count anything over 100,000 in your ABLE account towards your resource limit. So for SSI recipients, you do just want to be cognizant of that $100,000 limit so that your ABLE account never impacts your benefits. With that $18,000 annual limit, and the fact that a lot of people don't contribute the maximum, it will still take a very long time for you to get to that 100,000, but you want to keep it in the back of your mind just in case, because we certainly do not want anybody's account to impact their benefits. So just keep that number in mind. So investment options. Once you open your ABLE account, or as you're opening your ABLE account, you get to decide where you want us to put that money that you're depositing. So right now we have 4 portfolios that range from conservative to aggressive options. So you can decide what level of risk you're comfortable with, because those investment options do get invested in the market. We also offer an FDIC insured checking option that automatically comes with a debit card. So the checking option is nice and easy to spend the money from to access your funds. And again, a new update with the program that just went into place in February. We now also offer an FDIC insured savings option. So the nice thing about the savings option is it's kind of a happy medium. The checking account is safe. It's not at risk in the market, but it's also not going to grow for you at all. But some people are a little too nervous to do the investment options. They don't want their money to be risked in the market. They want it to be safe. So the savings option is kind of a happy medium where it's going to be safe. It's not at risk in the market, but it does earn interest. So that's a nice happy medium there. But you can choose any combination of all 6 of those options to make up your account. And you can change those options for future contributions anytime you want. So if you start off with a checking account just because you want easy access to your money and you want your money to be safe, and you decide down the line that you might be comfortable investing and you would like your money to grow and be invested, you can add some money to the investment options in the future. So you don't have to worry about being locked in forever to any options that you choose. So this is a bar graph on the screen right now of what all of the different options are made up of. So the aggressive is 85% stocks and 15% bonds. And then as you get more conservative, there's obviously less stocks, more bonds, more cash, until you get to the savings and the checking option that, of course, are all cash. So this is a chart of the different fees associated with our accounts right now. So there is an asset-based fee if you have any of the investment options of 0.36%. So that would be 36 cents for every $100 in your account when those fees are assessed. The savings option, which is not on the screen right now, because that's a new option, so we need to update this chart. The savings option is a 0.28% asset-based fee. Then there's a checking option fee if you choose the checking option of $2 per month, but that $2 fee is completely waived if you have an average daily balance over $250, or if you choose electronic delivery of your checking statement, then that $2 is completely waived. So then for your entire account, whatever it is made up of, there is a quarterly maintenance fee just to keep our program up and running of either $10 per quarter if you choose electronic statements, or $13.75 per quarter if you choose paper statements. And again, if you've chosen multiple investment options, that will be broken up evenly amongst those options. It will not be multiplied. So it won't cost you more money to choose more investment options. And there's no other fees on top of that. So there's no enrollment fee, no withdrawal fee, no minimum contributions after the initial deposit, no overdraft fee if you've chosen the checking, nothing like that. So some additional options that are available to ABLE account owners. There is a federal tax credit called a saver's credit of up to $2,000 to help save for retirement. There's also an option now to roll over from a 529 college savings account to an ABLE account with no federal or state tax implications. So that's a really nice option for people who already have a college savings account open for themselves or for their child, and they're not utilizing it. Either the child is not going to college or they've already gone to college, but there's a lot of money left over. Sometimes the money just sits in that 529 account because to just close it out and withdraw all the money would mean taxes and penalties for a non-qualified withdrawal. So now a qualified withdrawal is rolling over to an ABLE account. So if you think an ABLE account would be more appropriate for that beneficiary, then you can roll the money over still up to that $18,000 per year to their ABLE account, so they can still utilize it for education if they want to, but they can utilize it for so much more also. So that's a really nice way to get a lot of use out of your 529 money. One thing I want to mention, if you are in that camp, that option is set to expire. It's set to go away January 1st, 2026. It may not. Next year, there will be a big legislative push to get that either extended or made permanent, but we will not know until probably last minute if that's actually going to happen, if it's going to pass. So right now, you want to treat it as if it is going to expire January 1st, 2026. So if you are someone in that camp where you've got a 529 account and you're interested in rolling over any of the money to your ABLE account, you want to start now, because it's possible that you'd be able to roll over your 18,000 this year and your 18,000 next year before this expires. So if you've got more than that money in there, or you've got, close to that money in there, you want to get started now so that you don't miss out on it. Lots of different ways to contribute and withdraw from your ABLE account. You can contribute just by sending us a check in the mail if that's easiest for you. You can set up payroll direct deposit. You can sign on to the ABLE website and set up an electronic fund transfer there, which can either be one-time or recurring contributions. You, as we said, can roll over from 529 or another state's ABLE account. And there's also an online gifting option called UGift. That's a really nice option to allow other people to contribute to your ABLE account. So whether it's for a birthday or a holiday or, just because kind of present, the really nice thing about UGift is that everybody can contribute to your account, but they can do so safely. So you'll get assigned a unique UGift code that's a bunch of random letters strung together, kind of looks like a coupon code. And you can share that code with people. Those people can go to the UGift website, type in that code, and it'll allow them to contribute to your account. And again, for me, the nice thing about that is it allows them to do that without you as an account owner or you as a family member having to share the ABLE account number, without you having to share a social security number. You can share a completely anonymous code that allows them to contribute, but does not allow them to do anything else. They can't access your account. They can't withdraw from your account, nothing else. So it's a really nice, safe option there. To withdraw, if you've chosen your a checking option as one of your options, you can just use your ABLE debit card or order a checkbook from us and write a check. Super easy. Use it just like any other debit card or checkbook. But that's only connected to the checking option. So if you've chosen any of the other options, you would either call us toll free or sign into your account online and request a withdrawal through the account page on there. That can be automatic recurring withdrawals, or it can be a one-time withdrawal. And it's very flexible. So it will ask you if you have money in multiple options, if you've got some in the aggressive, some in the savings, some in the checking, it'll ask you which option you want the withdrawal to come from. or if you want the withdrawal evenly distributed from all of those options. It will also ask if you want the money, the check from your ABLE account going to you, or if you want it going to a third party. That can come in really handy for a couple of reasons. For me, the third party can just be an easier way to go. If you get a bill from a doctor in the mail, you can just select the withdrawal from your ABLE account, select it to go to a third party, type in all the information on that bill, the amount, any identifying account numbers, the address it needs to be sent to, all of that. And we will just send the check directly to that doctor's office. So that just makes it super easy for you. But the other way that this can really come in handy is if you or your loved one with the ABLE account is someone that does have SSI. If you have a really strict asset cap assigned to you, like that $2,000 with SSI, where your benefits can be suspended if you go over, then depending on what this withdrawal is for, what the amount is, you don't necessarily want that to have to flow through you. You don't want to say, I need $5,000 withdrawal so I can buy a new wheelchair. And then you get the check in the mail, you deposit that $5,000, then you write a check or, do whatever you're doing to pay for that wheelchair. They don't cash it in time. And now SSI comes in and sees that you've got $7,000 in your bank account instead of $2,000, and your benefits get suspended. So that's another way. And obviously you can, if you deposit that check, you could take out the cash and pay cash for things. That's fine. But it is just something to be aware of, and another benefit of having that third party withdrawal. And you can always download a paper form on our website if you're more comfortable with paper too. It's not letting me. There we go. So to enroll in New York ABLE is super easy. Again, you can download a paper form on our website, or you can just enroll online in about 10 minutes. So you'd gather the information. Obviously, if you're opening it for yourself, you would know all this information. If it's for a loved one, you'd want to gather the information: name, date of birth, address, social security number, and phone number of the eligible individual. Their basis of eligibility. So that's one of those earlier screens we looked at with whether they qualify for SSI or SSDI, whether they're blind, whether they have that doctor's note, whichever one qualifies them there. And then their category of disability. And there's a drop-down menu with lots of choices there. Then you'd choose your investment options. So again, all 6 of those options will be listed with boxes next to each of them. And in the boxes, you will type what percentage of every deposit you want going into each of those options. So you can just put 100% next to one of them if you only want to open one option. But if you want to split up your deposits and have them going into different places, you can do that as well. And you can choose 2 or 3, you can choose all 6. And you can, again, because it's percentages, you can weight it however you want as well. So you could have 90% going into your checking option and just 10% going into an investment option, so that you're kind of dabbling in those investments. It's totally up to you. And then you get started with as little as $25 or $15 if you choose payroll deduction. So this is the contact information for our team. Again, my name is Jenna McCluskey. I'm on the left here. My phone number is listed. My email address is listed, and I can type those into the chat as well. I'm the outreach coordinator. So if you work with any other programs, if you're anybody else might be interested in a presentation, you can share my contact information with them. Feel free to always reach out to me anytime for questions or to schedule presentations. I do not have access, my whole team at OSC, the controller's office, which is where the program is run from, we do not have access to the actual account database. So if you have a question about your actual account, you want to make a withdrawal, or you want to know how much money is in your account or something like that, then you're going to want to send them to the main phone number. So our contact information is 855-5NY-ABLE. That is our call center. We are open weekdays from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And our website is mynYable.org. So you can obviously visit there anytime. So again, the main phone number is if you have specific questions about your account, but if you've got general questions about ABLE accounts or you're interested in a presentation, then you can always contact me. So I'm going to, uh,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
zip.
know if Christy wants to take over this part.
Yep. I'm gonna zip through a couple of quick slides and then ask Jenna the few questions that we had in the chat. And then, to give that this me going through these will allow you, if you're thinking of questions and you want to put them in the chat now would be the time. I did want to mention a couple of upcoming engagement series topics that we're doing. On September 26th from 6 to 7, we're doing supported decision making as an alternative to guardianship. And then on December 12th, when it won't be quite so hot, we will be doing multiple diagnoses. And what does that mean? Again, from 6 to 7, you can scan the code to save the date on your calendar and get registered for those, because we love, sharing as much information as we can on all the hot topics that are out there. Then the next slide, Jenna. Please. This is my contact information. If you have questions, comments, concerns, I'll also put my contact information in the chat in just a minute. I do want to get to the slide that has, where we're always looking for feedback. So if you want to go to the next slide, both positive, negative, there will be a recording for this webinar. I just saw somebody put, will a copy of this be available? It will be on our website. Our past engagement series webinars are on here and are all on there. You can scan that QR code and everything will come up. Give us about a week to get this one up there. But this has a complete list of everything that we have on our website. Please connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, previously Twitter. You could scan those QR codes. It'll take you right to all of those. We post anything and everything about our upcoming events on all those platforms. And then lastly, I think is the one, we're going to get to the questions now. We really do appreciate your feedback, positive, negative, what was great, what wasn't great, ideas for future workshops. Please scan the QR code and take that. Oh, that's okay. James, if you email the email address that the invite came from where you registered, or if you email communityrelations@personcenteredservices.com, I can email you a copy of the presentation once it's ready, the recording. But now we're going to get to the few questions that we had. Thank you everybody for joining. And yeah, Jenna will stop sharing her screen now. So we did have a question that says, my client does not have SSI or SSA. They work full-time at Wegmans, but have Medicaid, and they make about $600 a week. Would they still qualify for an ABLE account? I would think they absolutely would, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, I'm not sure if this person was on during that part of the presentation, but to qualify for an ABLE account, you need to be a U.S. citizen or resident alien with a disability that was in place prior to the age of 26. That's it. The other bullets that were on that screen that you need to check are just to confirm that you have a disability. They're not additional qualifiers. So as long as you've got a disability and it was in place prior to 26, you're good. So that can mean you're working, you're not working, you're receiving benefits, you're not receiving benefits, you make no money, or you make $1 million a year. I've definitely spoken to some people that make a fair amount of money and use ABLE as an investment account. They contribute the maximum to their 401k every year, and then they contribute the maximum to their ABLE account. And they just invest all their money aggressively so that they can use it for retirement. So again, it's very flexible for whatever your needs are.
Great. We did have a question when you were talking about the disabilities other than intellectual and developmental disabilities. Someone typed sleep apnea? Question mark?
So the definition for the doctor's note that you would need is a written diagnosis from a licensed physician documenting a medically determinable physical or mental impairment that results in marked and severe functional limitations that can be expected to last at least a year or can cause death. So again, you don't need to give that diagnosis to us at all. You just check, yep, I've got a doctor's note. And the only time the proofs would come into play is if you were audited by the IRS. Then they would determine if they think sleep apnea qualifies or not. But ultimately, it would be up to your doctor. So you would tell your doctor what you're looking for. You would tell them, this is the qualifier for New York Able, and say, would you be comfortable writing me a doctor's note saying that my condition results in functional limitations and, marked in severe functional limitations, all of that. And then it would be up to the doctor to determine if they think that whatever you may have falls under that category. So it would be up to the doctor, not even up to us.
That's great. I typed in a couple of questions that I had thought of as a parent myself while we were doing this. When you were talking about the funds can be used for legal fees. So what if a parent was going after legal guardianship of the person with the disability with the ABLE account or the supported decision-making legal fees to formally go for supported decision-making? Can the person's ABLE account funds be used for those legal fees?
So again, that would be completely up to you as either the account owner or the authorized individual. But the definition of the qualified disability expense is any expense that is incurred as a result of living with their disability and is intended to improve the of life of the disabled individual. So if those legal fees are ultimately for the benefit of that account owner, then that absolutely makes sense to me.
Okay. Okay. And then one other question, and then I'll get to the last one in the chat. When you were talking about, about starting and it can be as little as $25, and you were talking about the 529 college savings account, can that college savings account, if you're rolling it into an ABLE account, can those funds be used to open the account? Or do you have to have it? It can. Okay.
No, so you do the enrollment process, and then they give you your account's technically opened. You can get your username, your password, so you can sign on, all of that. And then I think it gives you 90 days to fund the account. So you can sign right into the website, click on the button that says forms, find that rollover form and type in all of the information for your 529 account and how much you want to roll over and submit that form, and we'll work on all of it. And once $25 is in there, then it's opened. It's funded and good.
Right. Okay, in the chat we had, my daughter has been diagnosed with ASD. We didn't qualify for SSI or SSD due to income. Would New York Able be the same income cap?
So there is no
Income
cap. There is absolutely no qualifier other than being a person with a disability that was present prior to 26. That's the general qualifier of the ABLE account. So if it's an autism diagnosis, that would absolutely qualify. So that is something to, again, keep in mind, that just because you don't qualify for SSI or SSD or Medicaid, whether it's because of income or because the disability, quote, isn't severe enough or limiting enough, that does not mean that you won't qualify for an ABLE account. All of these programs have different qualifiers, and ours is much more broad than many of the programs that you're more familiar with.
That's great. Well, that's the last question that I see.
Okay.
All right, is somebody raising their hand? So Amanda is raising her hand. Amanda, let me see if I can, I'm going to allow your mic, Amanda, and then I'll get to the couple that just went into the chat. Okay, go ahead, Amanda. You should be unmuted. You should be able to unmute yourself now. I keep going to allow mic, and it's.
Let me see.
You see Amanda's number one. I'm trying to allow her mic. She's going to type in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, I'm clicking it too, and it doesn't seem to.
Yeah, I apologize. If you're able to type it in the chat.
Amy. Amanda Stacklin. It does look like the little icon changed, so you might be able to unmute yourself now, Amanda.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And now I forgot what my question is. What were you just talking about?
The qualifiers,
Yes.
yes. That we have different qualifiers than all the other programs. Let me see.
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay, that's okay.
I'll type
No
it in there
problem.
when I,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds
So
good.
we had a
I'm
question
trying
in
to
the
see if
chat.
there's a way to allow everybody
Yeah.
to unmute, but
I
don't think
apologize,
it's
everybody. I'm very comfortable
letting
in
us-
Zoom and learning about Teams webinars. So Zach had a question. I have a client who wants to start a business. Can any of the funds be used for business purposes like startup fees?
Yeah, one of the qualifiers is employment training and support. So, if you're starting a business, that would be employing you. So to me, that would qualify. But again, it's up to you as an account owner. So if you think you can justify it, then you save those receipts and write your justifications down. And again, only if there is an audit, then you would just use those justifications for the IRS. But one thing to note is that nationwide, so we do have not every state, but almost every state now has their own ABLE program. And we have not gotten word that nationwide, anyone with an ABLE account since ABLE's inception has been audited by the IRS and told that something doesn't qualify. So it sounds like everybody not only really is using the accounts as they were intended, they are able to justify their purchases, but it does sound like the IRS is going easy on people, that as long as they can justify it to themselves, they should be able to justify it to the IRS, and the IRS is going with that so far. So, again, that's not to say that if you want to use the money at the casino that the IRS isn't going to say, no, that's not a qualified expense. But I even had someone one time say that the manifestation of their child's disability was gambling. So even that,
Wow.
it seems like there are situations where you can justify them. So as long as you can justify the purchase to the IRS, then you should be good. We haven't seen anybody need tax penalties so far.
Great. So then somebody had typed, so just having Medicaid is okay then, right? But they don't even need Medicaid, correct?
No, you don't need
Yeah.
Medicaid. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify, but you do not need to have Medicaid to qualify at all. Oops. I'm typing in my email address too.
Hello, hi, this is Jennifer. I
Hi.
put that in. Hi, yeah, my client only has Medicaid. I'm their care coordinator. They don't have SSI or SSD or any of that, and they make a
They
lot
don't
of money
need-
at Wegmans. So
They don't need
Medicaid,
any of it. They don't need any of it. As long as they are a person with a disability that was present prior to 26, they're good.
oh, okay.
Yeah, good
And
question,
then-
Jennifer.
Yeah, I personally, I have an ABLE account. I have a genetic lung condition, so I have a respiratory disability. And I am still able to work full time, so I have never qualified for a federal benefit. I've never qualified for Medicaid or SSI or SSDI or any of them. And I'm able to utilize my ABLE account either as an addition to retirement or just putting $50 a paycheck in there so I can use it instead of a flex spending account or a health savings account. Use it for my copays, use it for prescriptions, things like that. So there's, again, as long as there is a disability, then you're good.
So
So-
when they put the money in there, they don't put their entire paycheck or entire whatever in there. They just can put in as much as they want, as long as they're not going over the $31,000 a year for Medicaid.
Correct. They can put whatever, as little or as much as they want in there, as long as they're not going over the $18,000 annual contribution limit. So if they make more than $18,000 a year, then they might not want to put the entire paycheck in, because at some point they're going to get to that ABLE maximum contribution, and then they'll be getting refunds, and then the next paycheck will be going in and they'll get a refund again, and it'll just be an annoying cycle for them. But they typically, other than the $18,000 contribution limit, they can put as much or as little of their paycheck in as they want.
Okay, so I got one more question. So when they put the money in, you said there's like a debit card. Can they just take the money out and use it as needed, or if it's something in particular, or?
As long as it is for a qualified disability expense. I can even share my screen and
Oh,
put that.
I took pictures when you told
Oh,
us to
perfect.
take pictures.
Yeah, so that qualified disability expense screen is the one that you'll want to look back at. So the definition and then that big list of examples of what qualifies, as long as they're spending the money on those sorts of things, which again can be almost anything. It's education, housing, transportation, health and wellness, those sorts of things. Then yeah, they just use their debit card freely, to make those purchases.
But no one, like, let's say they took the money out to go out to eat. No one's, would someone know that they took the money out to go out to eat, or you're saying the IRS could audit
Right.
them?
So the IRS isn't just regularly auditing ABLE accounts. It's
Right.
just if that account owner was subject to a regular audit, then part of that would be making sure that their ABLE account funds were spent in the appropriate way. So if it was, I've had people say, I'm going to use it to go out to dinner. You could say, or some people have said, I need to eat to be healthy and well. So I think going out to dinner is health and wellness. Some people have said that the disabled individual is able to save money for the first time with their ABLE account. So they wanted to treat their family to dinner. And what treating their family does is it helps them be more independent, which is one of the qualifiers. So yeah, I mean, it's something you still want to save your receipts and things like that, but that's certainly something that you could justify if you needed to.
So,
People get very creative with their justifications.
and they need to save the receipts?
That's recommended. That makes the
Yeah.
audit easiest
They're
for
gonna
the
be
IRS.
machine.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, all right. And are you sending a PDF to everybody or just to the person that asked? I know that's kind of a pain.
To the person that asked, but if I think we can, I'll have to ask Janine, because I know you work with us, Jennifer. I'll have to ask Janine if she can put a copy of the PDF into, on the website with the presentation. Typically we'll have supportive documents underneath. So chances
Okay.
are a copy of the PDF of the slides will be on there. If you don't
Okay.
see it on there, like in a week when you check, let me know. And
Okay.
I can email it to everybody. I should be able to pull up a list of everybody who attended and just email a copy of the PDF, or I'll PDF it while we're sitting here in the next second here, and I'll pop it into the
Okay,
chat.
that's fine. Okay,
Um,
all right. Thanks, Christy. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks, Jenna.
Sure.
Okay.
And now somebody so Amanda thought of her question. What happens to the money when you pass away if there's money left over?
Okay, so that's a complicated question, but it's a very good one. So usually people ask that question because they want to know if it is eligible for Medicaid recapture, which it is. But there's an order of operations that happens. So when we're notified of a death, we will send out a letter to the address on file, letting the family know that they have 6 months to inform us of any outstanding qualified disability expenses. So that can be outstanding housing costs or, medical costs, things like that. Can also be funeral and burial expenses. That would be the big one after death. So they have 6 months to inform us of whatever that amount is, the outstanding qualified disability expenses, and we will distribute that first. It's only after that that Medicaid is allowed to take anything. Medicaid is only allowed to take up to the amount that they spent on that person's care during the time that their ABLE account was opened. So that could be a lot of money if the person was in the hospital for a long time before their death. It could be almost no money. And if they don't already have Medicaid, then it would be nothing. They wouldn't qualify to take anything anyway. But that's what they're allowed to take back. And then if there either was no Medicaid claim at all, or after Medicaid has taken their portion, if there's any money left over, then it all gets rolled into the estate. So we get a range of reactions to this. Some people say, I'm going to be dead. I don't care what happens to the money. There are other people that don't even want to open an ABLE account if there is any possibility of Medicaid taking a penny. So, what I always try to express to them is that it's not either or. You can find a happy medium that you're comfortable with. So if you're really not comfortable with Medicaid taking any of the money, then you can keep a rolling amount in there that you think would be depleted with the qualified disability expenses after death. So if you think funeral and burial expenses and, reception after the funeral and all of those sorts of things will cost $25,000. You can keep a rolling $25,000 in your account if that's what you want to do, so that funeral and burial expenses will get the account to zero after death. And then even if Medicaid has a claim, there's no money left for them to take. That's certainly an option. But it's, again, up to every individual account owner how they want to handle that. But I just want everybody to know that there is a happy medium. It doesn't have to be terrifying that that ABLE accounts are eligible for recapture. And one thing we didn't mention at all is you can have an ABLE account along with all of the other accounts that you qualify for. So you can still have a college savings account. You can still have a special needs trust. So you can always have a special needs trust that has a larger amount in it. Say there's an inheritance or a settlement or something like that. You can put that larger amount in there because you're only even allowed to contribute $18,000 a year to your ABLE account. Or you can do it for that Medicaid recapture reason and keep that rolling amount and keep any excess funds over that in a special needs trust where Medicaid isn't eligible to recapture from. So you can get creative and make the ABLE accounts really work for you.
Well, if there's no more questions, I did put, I PDF'd the presentation into 2 slides just because some of them had a lot of information on it. And if you're like me and need reading glasses, it'll be helpful in 2 slides. Thank you all for joining. Please, if you did not scan the QR code, I'm going to stick it back up there. I'm actually gonna copy this slide and try and stick it right in the chat. If you could scan the QR code and please give us your feedback, that would really, really be appreciated. We hope to see a lot of you at our next session in September. And then in the fall, Amy Albanese, who's my counterpart based out of Rochester, and I will be scheduling our fall sessions that we do on understanding OPWDD and the eligibility process, criteria, services and supports. We do them for families of birth to 5, families of 5 to 21, as well as for professionals. So be on the lookout for that information coming out. But again, September 26th is our supported decision-making as an alternative to guardianship engagement series session. So thank you all for joining us. Stay cool. Hope you're all cooler than I am in my house. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. I really, really appreciate it.
Anytime. Like I said, reach out to me with any questions you've got.
We will. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah.